Man, if you're not selling, you're dying. You got to be creative. Find someone in your organization who is. Our core values within our organizations are be honest, have fun, make money, and work together. So we really focus all of our marketing efforts, all that kind of stuff based on those 4 values. I think every business has different KPIs they need to be tracking, obviously. For the sales efforts, we track every lead that comes in. And we track what percentage of leads turn to bids. We track how many bids turn to sales. So we know where the lead's coming from, and then if that lead is progressing to a bid and a sell, you can't manage what you don't measure. It's cheaper to maintain a customer relationship than it is to get another sell, and also to gain more revenue from these customers by providing more value to them. It's not just like you're going to go out there and say, hey, I'm going to find a way to weasel out a couple more dollars from them. You want to find ways to add more value to their lives so you get that revenue. Do some research. That's what we do. Like, I don't go in to every store with a box of crumble cookies and say, hey, buy from me. No, you got to do some research before. Know your market, know your niche, what you're going after.
What advice would you give an entrepreneur or a small business owner who is uncomfortable with selling or considers themselves not a salesperson?
Do you want your business to succeed, or do you not?
You are listening to the Best Sellers Podcast presented by Doug Dvorak, where the focus is elevating your sales boom. The Best Sellers Podcast, your ultimate destination for winning sales strategies.
Good day, Best Seller Podcast Nation. I'm Doug Dvorak, founder and managing principal of the Sales Coaching Institute, and your host for the Best Sellers Podcast. I'm so excited to be talking to our guest, Spencer Ward, founder and president of New Clean, located in Pocatello, Idaho. Spencer is a serial entrepreneur with some awesome sales and marketing skills. The title of today's Best Sellers Podcast is The Importance of Marketing and Sales in Small to Medium-Sized Businesses. Welcome, Spencer.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate the time and opportunity to be on the show.
My pleasure. Spencer, can you tell our listeners a bit about yourself and your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I'm trying. I came from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad and my grandfather and uncles, they all are business owners. I guess I got the itch early, detailing cars in the service station, in the gas station we owned in a small little farming community on the side when I was working, not changing oil and that kind of stuff for my dad. And out of college, I couldn't find anything. 2011 came and had a good, resume of, internships and stuff like that. I couldn't find any jobs. And I said, you know what, let's just try to start something. And it kind of took out from there and started in a little vacation area called Bear Lake between Utah and Idaho. After the summertime there, it kind of shuts down for business. I kind of sold everything I had there, and we had quite a portfolio there within the first summer. And I just came into Pocatello and started everything just full commercial at that point. So that's kind of how I got started.
What was your business that summer in Bear Lake?
It was cleaning. I called ourselves Bear Lake Cabin Cleaners. And it literally started with, I don't know, many people in Idaho and Utah probably know LeBeau's is a very famous milkshake place in Bear Lake. Mm-hmm. And it literally started with the little poster, 8.5 by 11, that you pull the tab off that says, call us for any services. My wife and I were just talking with my in-laws the other day. And I remember one of our first jobs there was this lady wanted a full detail of her cabin. And it was a big cabin. We went through everything, like her fridges, freezers, cleaned everything. And then we carpet cleaned her carpets. And I think I charged her $1,000. And at the end, she was happy. She gave us a $100 tip. And at that point, that was the most money I ever held in my hand. And I was like, okay, there's something to be said here. There's something I can do with this. And obviously there's wins and losses along the way. But yeah, that's kind of where we started as the Bear Lake Cabin Cleaners. And then when we turned into the New Clean LLC when we got the contract for WorldMark by Wyndham. It's a big timeshare company over there that we did all their summer staffing for them. Wow. And we ended up doing all of the property management companies in that area as well, doing all the cleaning for those cabins up there. So kind of how we got our start, and then realized, you know what, I'd rather stick to commercial and leave the residential stuff to the other professionals. So.
Excellent. That's a great story. And then, so you sold everything that summer and came over to Pocatello and started New Clean LLC. A lot of people wouldn't have your line of thinking, do I want to be an employer, an employee, and the risk and uncertainty that that comes with being an entrepreneur. And you've got a great podcast. It's called the Idaho Business Podcast that I was a guest a few months ago.
Good.
And you shared with me some of your ideas on sales and marketing. I'd like to ask you, why is effective selling particularly crucial for the success and growth of small to medium-sized businesses, Spencer?
Man, if you're not selling, you're dying. You got to be creative right off the bat. I was out there. I had a degree in public relations and advertising and a minor in business marketing. So I thought I knew everything I needed to know. I was completely wrong. I didn't know what I didn't know. But I learned very quickly going around and just, hey, here's my business card. Call me if you need any services. Quickly, that card ended up in their circular file, meaning the trash can. I figured out ways to stand out, get past gatekeepers, and to get in front of the people that actually were making those decisions and finding ways to provide value to these people. One of the funny ways I do it is I would literally get a box of crumble cookies, and I still use it today, and go up to the gatekeeper, open one up, and say, hey, you need to take one of these. Have their logo on it, on the front box, not my logo, their logo. And then I have a note or something in there for the decision maker. Like, hey, I don't care how many you take, but can you just make sure this ends up getting to this guy or this gal? And 98% of the time, it gets where it needs to go. And that's all I ask. That's the only ask I do that time. A week later, I come back, something else. Same thing, smile on my face, try to crack a joke. That's how I got dates when I was a younger guy. I try to make them laugh, get people going a little bit, and just be myself. Obviously, that gatekeeper recognizes me, and she's like, oh, I'm about to have a good time. And that time, I'm asking, hey, does so-and-so have a free second? Won't take much of his time or won't take much of her time. And probably over 75-80% of the time I get through. So that's just a easy kind of grassroots way to get into these individuals' offices. I know in these bigger cities, it's all about social media and Google ads, and I'm running those. I pay a very smart agency that knows what they're doing. With these smaller markets, especially Idaho, the tertiary market, there's not the population, so we're not getting as many pings and as many clicks as you want that these marketing companies are used to seeing. So you got to be creative. If you take door hangers, for example, or whatever, slow mail, snail mail, and you are keeping it in line with the same message you're pushing online, funneling in all into the same funnel with all the different areas you're targeting them, that's, I feel like, more effective in these smaller markets.
I totally agree. And I love the creativity and the cookie story. Who doesn't like a cookie? But then
Right.
It's not about you, it's about them taking the time to have a handwritten card for the decision maker and then coming back. And we're probably not talking hundreds of dollars, but just thinking outside the box and going against the herd mentality. But because I think too many small to medium-sized business entrepreneurs or owners get charmed with digital marketing. That's an essential part of a marketing strategy and plan, but there's nothing like getting out in the field, being creative, knocking on doors, because the intimacy happens when you're face to face. And that's a great story. How does a strong sales function impact other areas of a small business, such as marketing, product development, or customer service?
When you have sales, it's bringing in the revenue. You have the ability to do other fun things like the marketing, and you have the ability to bring on more talent for customer service. It solves most of your problems. I won't say all your problems because you still have to have systems in place, but you can't solve much if you don't have the revenue coming in. So that's a big one. We've been able to, every year we've been alive in business, we've progressively, just grown. Every year I feel like we've gotten better because I know we're not perfect. We actually have a guarantee that's called the We're Not Perfect guarantee. We hammer down on that even internally. They're like, hey guys, we know there's something we can do more. Let's keep tweaking our even when it comes down to training our employees or onboarding our customers or onboarding our employees, whatever it is, we're trying to tweak it and make it better because in the long run, our clients get the benefit of it.
Excellent. What you just said brought a couple of quotes to mind. Sales is the highest paying hard work and the lowest paying easy work. Sales is the only function within an organization that adds to profits. Everything else adds to costs. And there's no problem within a business, relatively speaking, that more sales cannot solve. What are some common misconceptions or mistakes that small business owners make when it comes to sales, in your experience, Spencer?
Well, I'm kind of going to double back on kind of what we just said. You know, a lot of people will take what we just said of the sales solves it all and really just hammer on that. But if you have a hole in your boat and you're bringing in more sales, you know, that's not going to help. If you don't know your numbers and you don't understand what's going on in your business, number one, are you selling with the right margins in mind? Because if you don't know your numbers, you're SOL at that point. I
love knowing your numbers. That is such great advice. Margin, ROAS, return on advertising spend, CAC, customer acquisition cost. What are some of the numbers as a business owner that you look at that impact your sales and marketing?
So I look, you know, I break it down just the three, just the cost of goods sold, my overhead, and my net profit. And I kind of know where I want to be in those realms. So when I'm going to bid and to sell, I know exactly how I have to structure my bid to make sure that continues to be to stay proportional within those percentages. I used to be that guy that used to get really excited about top line revenue, but now I feel like bottom line revenue is the sexiest thing out there. So
bottom line is the sexiest thing. You know, you bring up an interesting question for entrepreneurs and small to medium-sized business owners relative to when do I bring on the first full-time salesperson? Normally it's their technicians that sell, the wife, family members, or the owner or entrepreneur himself who's wearing so many hats. When is a good time, if you know your numbers, to take the leap to bring on a full-time salesperson?
Doug, I can't really speak to that yet because I haven't brought on a full-time person myself at this point. You know, we're doing multiple 7 digits in revenue right now, and I probably should be looking into something like that. That's something that's been talked about with my consultant and myself. But yeah, that for now, it is me, and it is my partner, and it is my director of client happiness, we call her. She helps out with that as well. But yeah, we kind of share the load. But I can't talk to that much, Doug. I think that's kind of where your expertise needs to pop up on this. So.
But you bring up an interesting question. 7-figure businesses and knowing your numbers, growing and scaling. If the bottom line that sexy bottom line number is right, sometimes you don't need to grow for the fact of growing and scaling. If the numbers are strong and you can do it, the sales and marketing function yourself or with other team members, hiring a sales team or a salesperson is not always the panacea if you know your numbers and the numbers are strong.
Yeah, and obviously we always want to have a stronger growth year after year, but you know, and I think we're definitely moving in that direction of getting someone in there, but you always wonder, you know, I want to find the right person, you know, not that cheesy car salesman, you know, I need that right person that understanding pain and talking to these people, you know, to our potential clients in a way that they relate with them, you know, so.
Yeah. And Spencer, so you're actively involved in the sales function at your businesses. What role does the business owner or founder typically play in the sales process for a small or medium-sized company that doesn't have a full-time outside sales rep or sales team?
Well, you are the face, you know, you and your employees are the face. So you have to, if you're the owner, if you're not the creative type, find someone in your organization who is. Our core values within our organizations are be honest, have fun, make money, and work together. So we really focus all of our efforts, our marketing efforts, all that kind of stuff based on those 4 values.
Could you share that again? I love that. What are your core values, the 4?
Be honest, have fun, make money, and work together. So when we go out to market, like, you will see our fun side. Like, we have crazy shirts our employees wear after they've been a year with us that say "Naked Cleaning World Champions" on the back. We have,
what does it say?
Naked Cleaning World Champions, you know? So we have another shirt that our people wear when they're part of our team that goes and strips and wax floors with those machines. They call themselves the Strip Club. And then they wear shirts that say "Best Strippers in Town" that has a picture of a floor machine in the middle of it. So we really hammer down on our core values, and we're like, we're here to have fun, guys. We want to attract customers that are like us too, so we can enjoy that relationship. If you're all you're doing is attracting Karens, you're going to hate working for those customers.
Right.
So you don't want. It's
so cool.
Any sale is not a good sale. Like, we've fired customers before because we just don't share the same values. Like, they're literally. If I was looking at a few customers I fired, like, some of them are if you really look internally, your core values are, I'm going to lie, cheat, and steal, and that's just not us. We're going to be honest with you. We're going to be, upfront with you, and we just expect the same in return.
Excellent. That is really inspiring. How important is it for non-sales employees in a small business to understand and support the sales function?
We have a weekly meeting with all of our staff. Right now we have around 85 staff members.
Wow.
Across the 2 different companies. And that's across 6 different cities in Idaho. And it's just a Zoom meeting. It's like a 15-minute Zoom meeting. And we talk about things like, hey, what are things we work on? We always try to, and we also have a meeting on Tuesdays with our admin that we talk about this kind of stuff. But it's very interesting that you brought that up, because we talk to our employees like, hey, you guys are the face. And if you guys are out there, doing knucklehead things, it's really hard, to continue to push this company forward, because they see what you guys are doing and they immediately think, oh, that's all of New Clean, or that's all of commercial cleaning services. And it's just like, you get that broad stroke label. They have to realize that we all are working together. Like, hey, you guys want more hours to work? Cool. You need to help push this train along. Like, you need to be professional, but still have fun. We want them to have fun. We want them to joke around, but, don't get crazy and, start, running up and down hallways and throwing stuff around. Crazy things have happened, Doug, but because people are just nuts out there. But if they understand, hey, the key ones that are really core value matches, they understand, like, hey, we're all in this together. The better I perform, the better the company is going to do, and I'm going to earn raises, I'm going to earn promotions, and the better my life's going to get. So that's the ones that get it, and the ones that don't see their way out, or we see themselves out for them. So it's just, that's the key, is that they all kind of have to be in line, or you got to get them out.
Yeah, and I love that you spent the time to develop core values and mission, and then trying to attract A players that are aligned with those missions and values. You had mentioned, the 3 things that you look at, those numbers. Are there any other metrics or KPIs that small businesses should track to gauge the health and effectiveness of their sales efforts, Spencer?
I think every business has different KPIs they need to be tracking. Obviously, for the sales efforts, we track every lead that comes in, and we track what percentage of leads turn to bids. We track how many bids turn to sales, so we know, okay. And then we also track, where are these leads coming from? Are they coming from referrals? Are they coming from maybe from the podcast? You never know. Are they coming from Google Ads? Are they coming from Facebook or Instagram? So we know where the lead's coming from, and then if that lead is progressing to a bid and a sell, then we can kind of figure out, okay, now after months of having these metrics happen, now I know if I dial up the spend with these metrics in mind, I'm just printing more money. So that's the way that's the reason we do it. It might seem tedious for people, like, oh man, why are we tracking this kind of stuff? It's for that reason. We even track.
Know your numbers. I love it.
We even track how many people apply to work here, how many people show up to interviews, what's the percentage of people that show up for interviews that actually start with us. And then we also track all the stops, or how many people are fired, So we know month to month what's going on, so we can see a trend happening there too. Hey, is it something that's just cyclical in our business? Because we know there's ebbs and flows within the season of our industry, of when people want to quit and when people want to come back on. Or is it a new leader we brought on? Is it a new method that we're training with? What is it? Because all these things work together. So that's tracking. You can't measure. You can't manage what you don't measure.
Question, Spencer, what impact does customer retention and repeat business have on sales for small to medium-sized businesses, and how can owners, entrepreneurs nurture these relationships?
It's cheaper to maintain a customer relationship than it is to get another sale, because if you know your cost of sale, you already probably know, hey, it's cheaper to keep these guys happy, and also to gain more revenue from these customers, by providing more value to them. It's not just like you're going to go out there and say, hey, I'm going to find a way to weasel out a couple more dollars from them. You want to find ways to add more value to their lives so you get that revenue.
Customers are like your teeth. You ignore them and they go away, and it's much cheaper to take care of your current customers. Spencer, how critical is it for small to medium-sized businesses to clearly define their unique value proposition when selling?
You need to have a differentiator. You need to have something that stands out. It sets you apart from the rest of the crowd. for us, I honestly think a big part of it is our guarantee and our 124 promise.
Can you tell us about those, please?
Yeah, our we're not perfect guarantee. I wish I had a poster of it to show you, but it's literally like a young boy. I'm going to change it to one of my daughters or a kid, but it's literally doing this expression with their hands, like crap happens type thing. And we were just like, if you're looking for a perfect cleaner, that doesn't exist. But if you're fine with cleaners or a cleaning company that has, not issues, but I can't remember the exact wording and how we use it, but that has occasional imperfections once in a while, we may be a fit. So what our guarantee does is we will contact you within an hour if we miss your call, and we'll fix it within 24. And if we don't fix within 24 hours, that cleaning is credited back to you on the following month's invoice. So we hold our feet to the fire. And we tell them, like, guys, again, we go back to our core values. I'm honest to these people. And I feel like that speaks volumes. I'll tell these potential customers, like, we're actively crediting people. Like, it's not monthly. Probably every quarter to 2 quarters, we're crediting back 1, maybe 2 sometimes. This stuff just happens sometimes.
Yeah, that's really honest and creative. Spencer, what strategies can small businesses use to generate leads and fill their sales pipeline with limited resources?
Get out there and just, you don't have to go knock doors. If you do, try not to do it cold, meaning like, I'm just going to go hit this entire block, because you don't know if that block's filled with a bunch of mom and pops that don't even have the budgets for your services or your products. Do some research. That's what we do. Like, I don't go in to every store with a box of crumble cookies and say, hey, buy from me. No, you got to do some research before. Know your market, know your niche, what you're going after. If you're a roofer and you're like, hey, my niche is everyone who has a roof, well, that's kind of a hard one to market to. But if you're saying, hey, my niche is going to be houses that are, well, back in the day, a $250,000 home in Idaho was still a nice home. Now they're not as nice. But you could literally say, I'm going to focus on houses that are $350,000 up to $550,000. That's kind of my niche. I'm going to find out who that audience is, exactly what keeps them going, what's their pains, all that kind of stuff. So then you can really market to them and be creative with it. When I had zero money, we were making just crazy videos with just our little iPhones. And we were getting people just laughing at it, and we'd get some calls here and there, but don't be afraid to just get out there. And if you can sponsor something here and there, go to a chamber event, those are things, just networking. And don't be that guy or that gal that's just constantly up in someone's face, and know when you're being annoying too. That's a key. People get it. Like, hey, I think a lot of these newer people in the business, they think they're going to make the sale their first contact. No, that doesn't happen. It's usually after the 5th or 8th contact that you're going to make a sale happen.
You bring up a great point. Earlier I taped another bestsellers podcast, and I had Terrence Bostic, a sales psychologist, and he said an amazing quote: persistent, positive conversations are more productive than aggressive negotiations. Your 8th light touch is more effective than your 3rd hard touch. Yeah, so really great. And I forgot to congratulate you on the top of the podcast. You're coming up on 12 years as the owner of New Clean in a month or a couple months. How has technology changed the way you and your small business approach selling, and what tools do you recommend?
I feel like I'm a late adopter of CRM systems, but we just got on to a system called Go High Level. Maybe you've had him on as well, Brian, from AI for Business. Mm-hmm. He was talking about some chatbots that also work with Go High Level. So technology-based, like when people now Facebook us, message us through our website or anything like that now, we have trained these chatbots that are AI-driven how to respond and how to literally funnel this potential lead one way or another by how they're responding. Like Brian has said, and you're wondering who he is, just go Facebook AI for Business. The guy's, he's a genius on this kind of stuff. But he said at one point, people literally ask these people out for dates because they don't realize they're AI because they're so good. Wow. They're so intuitive. That's one way, and that frees up my time and my staff's time that it's, that's costly. If I had to have someone there full time answering all this kind of stuff, this is a huge cost savings to have this technology at our fingertips like this. Yeah, so I would that's a big one that helps just streamline your sales funnel. And people are asking the wrong questions like, hey, do you clean homes? Well, actually, we don't. So then it kind of brings them this way. So then it only brings them to our side, if it's a qualified lead that's responding with the right responses. So
And what is the name again of that CRM system?
it's called Go High Level. I know there's
Go
a ton
High.
out there besides Go High Level, and I just recommend any CRM system that's going to help you be more efficient. But we have literally our interview processes going through there. We have interviews going on every week in 2 different cities, every the same time, same location, same day, and people are scheduling through that CRM system. So now we can literally say, hey, this applicant was a rock star, we're moving him on. So we just grab his name and move him on to he's going to the one-on-one interview. This person was a turd, or we've had someone it's surprising, Doug, when people go for interviews and they show up the way they do sometimes. Even, I know it's a janitorial position, but sometimes they're not good people, and it's an obvious not a core value match. And you're just like, okay, I'm going to drag this person to no longer let them schedule another interview because I don't want to see their face again. And that helps because it makes everyone's lives easier. So just, embrace the technology.
I love the process and the systems, the core values, finding team members that are aligned with your core values. I worked with the global HR director for Starbucks, and she said some amazing things, some tidbits on her hiring strategy. When interviewing team members, a yes is a yes, a no is a no, a maybe is a no. What is the true cost of a bad hire in terms of disrupting culture, affecting client relationships? So that's just great advice. So a couple last questions. What advice would you give an entrepreneur or a small business owner who is uncomfortable with selling or considers themselves not a salesperson?
Do you want your business to succeed or do you not? There's times you just have to channel the inner David Goggins in yourself. You have to say, I'm going to do this no matter what. I'm a people person. I like to go out and I like to talk to people, but there's times I wake up, I'm like, I feel like full on introvert mode. I don't want to talk to anyone. And those days I'm like, freak, I got to get out. I got to make something happen today, because if I don't, I'm going to go to bed feeling useless. Sometimes you got to know, like, okay, who's counting on me? My kids are counting on me. My wife's counting on me. Like, I've got a whole support structure over here, that are supporting me, but I've got to support them. And if I'm just going to sit here, because every new entrepreneur want to do the fun things. They want to create their websites. They want to create their logos. That's the fun stuff. That's the stuff that you can spend hours on and countless amount of money on, but that doesn't do anything to bring you money into the door. No one could give a crap about your logo. No one could give a crap about your website. They don't give a crap about how many years experience you have. Don't speak about you or I in your website. Speak about them and how you can help your customers. So
that's great advice. So as we close with the last question, what are a couple of big ideas you'd like our listeners to take away or consider as it relates to sales and marketing for a small to medium-sized business, Spencer?
If you listen to too many business gurus out there, you'll drive yourself nuts. So find a few that you really can latch onto that fit your value structure and go with it. Doug's, he's one I've bonded with. I really like, nationally, I like Ed Milet. I like positive mindset people. I cannot stand the ones that are just like, you got to wake up at 4 a.m. Even though I am an early riser and I like to do certain things like that. But if you listen to those people that are, sometimes that can be too much. If you are constantly saying, oh, I got to get up at this point in the morning, and I can't go to bed until this XYZ happens, like, geez, you'll drive yourself nuts and you'll be miserable. But you have to have some hustle to you. But you got to remember, if you've got kids at home, you got a wife at home, or just loved ones in general, or friends that you want to hang out with, if you disregard them, like, your life's really going to suck. You can still have it both ways. You can still really hustle during the week and still enjoy a personal time with these people. So make it fun for you. If it's not fun, you're going to dread going to work. I worked for an individual for years and I hated life. But once I got out of that umbrella of that situation, I'm just like, I'm going to make things fun. Not every day is going to be wonderful, but you got to find ways to make things fun.
Getting to know you even better after our conversation today, I see how you live with authenticity and your core values of having fun, making money, doing it as a team, and being honest. I mean, I can tell you're having fun. It is work, and being an entrepreneur and growing and scaling your businesses is tough, but you can just tell you enjoy what you do. You're doing it for yourself, your customers, your family, and just great to have you as a guest on the Best Sellers Podcast. Spencer, if people want to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you and watch your awesome Idaho Business Podcast?
Honestly, just go to the info at the idahobusinesspodcast.com if you are interested to get on there. And honestly, that's the best way. And then, if you're interested in, my services or my companies, we can still talk through there as well. Or you can find the Idaho Business Podcast on all the major podcast sites as well. So listen to this goofy mug all you want. So
great. Well, Spencer Ward, president and founder of New Clean, as well as founder of the Idaho Business Podcast. It's been an awesome privilege and pleasure. I'm Doug Dvorak, your host of the Best Sellers Podcast, founder and managing principal of the Sales Coaching Institute. Check us out at salescoach.us. And if you'd like to see this podcast, go to salescoach.us/podcast. Good selling. If you made it all the way here, thank you for listening to the Best Sellers Podcast, your ultimate destination for winning sales strategy. We hope you loved this episode. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on your favorite podcast platform to never miss an episode. See you on the next one.